Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Curveball the podcast.
Yay!
Excited for this one.
So this one is one of my favourite ones because it's going to touch on everything that we know and in our industry as models.
Behaviour. Let's do it. Model behaviour. Firstly, I really want to touch on this. Me and Kayleigh are basically strangers, and I think if you watched us, correct me if I'm wrong, but you might think we've known each other for years. We've known of each other because we're part of a couple of the same modelling agencies, so I always knew who you were.
Small little world,
always
isn't it?
admired you from a distance.
Oh, stop.
But we never worked together because we're always the token curve model on set. There's never two token curve models, so we've never really done a shoot together.
We're going to go more into that about the token curve
Big
modelling.
time.
But yeah, absolutely. And it's so basically, I've had this vision for the last couple of years now to start a podcast and just try and do something very different. And genuinely, this sounds so weird, but I actually dreamt of Soph. Like... Yeah, I did.
That's a bit creepy.
It sounds so creepy, doesn't it? I swear I'm not a creep.
Before we'd
I'm not a
met?
stalker. Yeah, but obviously, like we'd you know become friends on social media,
Yes.
and this is the thing with social media. You feel like you know someone even though you don't.
Yeah.
So I saw a lot of your amazing stories that you was putting out about self-love
Yeah.
and your journey, and obviously it resonated with me. But then I was starting the podcast and I was trying to navigate on my own. And I went to see a spiritual therapist. She said, you're going to be working with someone else. And I swear to God, within a couple of weeks, I started dreaming about you. And it sounds so weird when I say it out
Kayleigh's
loud.
dreaming about me, guys. Can I leave now? I don't want to do this.
Little creep here.
Creepster.
I promise I'm really
You
on
dreamed
that.
about me and then
I
you
dreamt about
messaged me.
So I messaged you, and basically Soph was like, I'm really busy at the moment.
No.
Tried to fob me off nicely.
I just felt like I've learned really good boundaries in my life, and I know when I'm at capacity, and I didn't feel like I had the capacity to do a pod, and rightly so, because it has been a shit ton of work. But
So much work, yeah.
it has been so much fun, and I'm so glad that we're here and we're finally into it and we're bringing you these stories.
Well, I think it just finally aligned in it, and both our values are very similar. Like, Soph has an amazing course on self-love and body confidence.
Yeah. Body confidence course.
Body confidence course. And whereas I've just been on my own journey and I'm no expert at all, so maybe you probably don't want to listen to my advice, but I'm just coming from a place that...
Life experience.
My life experience, I've done 10 lives already, so yeah, so it just kind of, our values have just aligned, which has worked out really well, especially with work.
I never wanted to do something like this on my own. I felt like I needed to meet someone that was the right energy, that was going to bring things that I can't, and that is very much you. So I'm glad we're here.
Also, to pinpoint, we both have ADHD. So, FYI, for the podcast, if you're listening, we do have ADHD. It might go a bit fast for you. If you want to slow it down, that's up to you.
Put us on 0.5. When I listen to a podcast, I listen to it on 1.5.
Do it to fast.
Get to the point.
Yes, I like that, though. I like that.
That's my whole life. Get to the point. Get it done. Model behaviour.
That's where we're going to now, yeah. Get to the
So,
point, innit?
we are both curve models. We both started off in slimmer bodies and we've moved on to the curve board. We've had very similar experiences, but also completely different stories. And today we're going to kind of talk you through a bit about that. Even things like how to get into modelling, what's it really like inside the modelling industry? What's the worst job you've ever done? What's the best job you've ever done? Is it as glamorous as people think? There is so much that we're going to dive into.
Absolutely.
I've been really looking forward to it.
I'm really excited to talk about this.
Shall we do it?
Go on then, let's start showing.
You spoke in the intro episode a little bit about pageants, and that's how you got into modelling.
Yeah.
Share a little bit more on that. I want to hear that story properly. So from the pageants, you were eating your Chinese, you found out you were Miss Sheffield. How did that then lead on to modelling, and what did that look like?
So, because with basically, I don't know if anyone who was listening has done pageants, it is a world of its own, I must say. Like, the community that is built within the girls is amazing. And there's a lot of work that goes into how you come across and how to photograph and things like that. So I got a lot of knowledge from that, and I did a lot of photo shoots from that. And it just kind of led me down. I didn't want to be a pageant girl. I'm not a pageant girl.
Well, it's very different. So there's almost a little bit of stigma in the modelling industry if you came from pageants.
Absolutely.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know for me, when we were starting modelling, it was kind of like, well, don't do pageants because it'll hinder your modelling career.
Absolutely. Where I found it was a bit the opposite for me, because where I kind of slid into the modelling world was bridal lingerie. Back in 2000, when did I start? So 2000... 2009, I started. So back then, plus size modelling wasn't really a thing.
Well, it was, but you were a size 10.
Yeah, well, yeah. But it wasn't still even then. Like, there wasn't really much niche for it. Like, I don't know where all these brands have come from. Like,
Yeah, because I remember, obviously, we were both size 6 modelling, and I never remember being on set and there being curve girls there. I never, ever, ever worked with curve models.
you never knew, like, a famous curve model.
There wasn't any.
Or, like, a famous or a supermodel curve model. Do you
No.
know?
Was
like,
there a supermodel curve model? Obviously, now we've got Ashley Graham, but that took a long, long time.
hell of a long time. And, you know, even though I feel like the industry is still slow to it, because it's just a natural body shape. Come on, like the curve. We're going to go more into that, but for me, I never really fit into the category of the straight models or the smaller
You had
models.
boobs.
I had boobs. I'm 5'11". Like I'm a tall girl, I'm big built. Like you can't change that. And if I did lose weight, which I did at some points, and I just looked like a beanpole. Like it just wasn't my natural figure. So when I finally went from the pageant to that, it kind of fell all right because I was doing bridals. I was in that, like, you know, I was a commercial model.
Yes, and that is so important to touch on because we talk about modelling from a space of we understand the industry, but there's all sorts of different types of modelling. So you can be like a high fashion editorial model who is a size 6 and quirky looking, you've got really strong cheekbones and that typical model
look,
Me and Kayleigh are girl next door, I'm doing the British Gas advert and then I'm going and shooting a lovely lingerie shoot, which is where the money is. Let's just point that out.
Exactly where it is.
So you kind of
listening.
start your career wanting to do all of this super glamorous, I want to be on the cover of Vogue, I want to be this androgynous, quirky editorial model. And then you're like, well, that doesn't pay very well.
It doesn't pay very well at all now.
Actually,
it doesn't.
I'll be the face of Tenor Lady. Show me the money. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yes.
It's quite funny, actually.
Yes,
So when I
Tampax,
was...
come at me.
Right? That's so weird. You've just said this because you don't know this story. That was weird. That was like a weird connection moment because I was just about to tell you a story about Tampax. When I was 17, I got offered a Tampax commercial. So I cast for it. I went in person because all castings were in person at the time. I cast for it and I got the job and it was £7,200. I remember it so specifically, which is obviously a lot of money. It's a lot of money now, but it was an awful lot of money then. It was a big commercial. It was worldwide usage. It was going to be everywhere. And I said no because I was in college and I didn't want to be the Tampax girl.
Really?
How bad is that? Because there's so much shame around periods. Less so now, but at the time, and as a 17-year-old who was trying to be this quirky, cool model.
Well, fashion. You was more down the fashion route, wasn't you?
I didn't want to be the Tampax girl. Tampax, if you're listening, I will be the Tampax girl.
Do you know what's so
I love
funny?
a Tampax.
Well, I actually got through to like the final of one of the adverts a couple of years
Recently?
ago. About 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the advert, it's so fun because it's my accent.
Yeah.
And it's, if you can't feel it, girls, put it right up.
You would have been perfect.
I am Tampax. I am the norm. Anyway.
I'm manifesting we're both going to do a Tampax.
We'll do a Tampax advert, yeah. Anyway, sorry, we'll get off that one. Because
Lots of different types of modelling.
There's so many different types of modelling. So we say fashion, which is the catwalk, and editorial, which, again, very, very different. I think as you're starting out, agencies, especially if you are a slim build, tall, agencies tend to push you in that direction, which is good for experience.
It is, and it's good to have done a little bit of everything. It's good to do runway.
It gives you confidence. It
But I
builds it up.
think in terms of longevity and career, that doesn't go beyond being about 25. What we've managed to do and why we've had such longevity with modelling is really push into that commercial side and be able to now be mums and all the rest of it, which is great because here we are.
Do you know what?
Again,
I'm not
show
even
me
the
the
mum.
money.
Do you know what? I'm not even the mum. I'm normally like the mum's friend.
Cool auntie.
I am, but how funny! I've manifested it in because that's what I am, a cool auntie.
When I had my pink hair, I was always like the cool lesbian auntie.
Was you?
Got cast for that quite
I
a few
see
times.
that though. Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
Look, I'll be the cool lesbian auntie. I consider it quite often. What's your favourite job you've ever done?
My favourite job I've ever done, I'd say it was one recently, and it was for Schwarzkopf. It was the hair brand, so I worked with them a couple of times now. I mean, I
fly you out to Germany and it's all
out to
glam.
Germany, and the team are amazing. But also, it's like, I do love the travel. It is tiring though. Like, people think that your life's so glamorous with it. You are working long ass hours. You're in and out. You don't really get to see locations, but it's the people that you work with, right? I love our
What
job
element
for
of that? Why is it your favourite job you've done?
Because it was the best paid.
You got wedged 5 figures.
No jokes. It was because I just felt it was just a step up in brands.
Big brand.
Do you know, and also I got to get my
Household
hair,
brand.
yeah, like a worldwide one. And I've done a couple of them recently, but they've all been commercials and they're my favourite jobs. The people on set are just so much nicer to work with. You know, they're not as demanding. You're in, you're out, you get your work done and you leave. And I love that. Like, people know their shit. You're working with professionals and that's what I love. And also, I actually got to get my hair from black to bleach blonde, guys. I went platinum blonde.
I think jobs like Schwarzkopf. We should be able to say that wrong. Schwarzkopf. I think jobs like Schwarzkopf represent a side of the modelling industry that everyone thinks our day-to-day job is. So we do get those jobs. So my favourite job I've ever done is ASICS. And it was 2 weeks in Paris and it was just incredible. It was, you've got your own trailer. It was that kind of what people think the modelling industry is. Whereas generally day to day, we're in a cubicle doing 80 outfits, front, back, sides.
Absolutely.
You know, can you top your own makeup up because we've not got the budget to keep the makeup artist all day, and it's just not as glamorous as you might think.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, ASICS was my favourite job. It was the first time ASICS had ever worked with a curve model, so it was a big deal for them. I got cast as the hurdler.
What's that?
Oh my God, I'm going to have to... As in hurdling.
What?
Hurdling like the Olympics.
What?
Yes, I know.
Could you do that?
Well, apparently so. So I did a tape running. And do you know what? It was actually really healing for my inner child because I had to do a self-tape running and my auntie always used to take the piss out of me for running like Phoebe from Friends. I think because I was so slim and gangly and like I probably had a bit of an awkward run. But because I was kind of shamed as a child for how I ran, I just stopped running after that. So when I did this self-tape of running, I just thought, oh God, I'm obviously not going to book this. Anyway, this massive worldwide brand, ASICS, come back and they're like, we absolutely love her. We want to book her for a 2-week campaign in Paris. So it was 3 campaigns back to back and they booked me for all of them. And everyone else kind of like flying in, flying out and me and one of the other girls there for the 2 weeks. So they loved us.
Oh, amazing.
Had the pink hair, so it's a bit different.
Yeah.
So I booked this role of runner. I'm absolutely buzzing. I'm going to Paris, dead excited. I've not been back in the UK that long, so it was one of my first big campaigns since I've been back. And then I get an email through saying, we actually are considering Soph for the role of hurdler, and it's a lot more money. It's already really well paid. It's a lot more money. Can she hurdle? Can she
Because
hurdle?
I'm training in right now.
Can she hurdle? And can she send us a self-tape of her hurdling? They were like, it doesn't need to be professional hurdles. Kayleigh, I went into my back field with 2 dining chairs and a broomstick and filmed a self-tape of me hurdling.
Shut the front door.
I swear.
Yeah. Have you got that tape still?
Yeah. So
Can I see that tape?
You can, so I hurdled.
Can we see this tape?
And then I had to do all sorts of hurdling drills. We had a physio on set to teach me. I did all this like lead leg working stuff. And I hurdled for ASICS for the Olympics campaign. Yeah.
Congrats on that
And
one.
it was a really good job because it was one of those comfort zone pushing. It doesn't push my comfort zone to be on a set of 20 people and just model. That doesn't scare me at all anymore. We do it day in, day out. It pushed my comfort zone to hurdle in front of a crew of 80 people, which was great. And I felt amazing after it. That was my favourite job.
That sounds like an amazing job, actually.
Worst job.
Ooh.
Ooh, don't know what my worst job is.
I can't actually think of, like, off the top of my head, like, the worst job. I think the worst thing to model is ties.
Ties. Lingerie's a faff, to be fair, in and out of bras.
Yeah, I don't mind lingerie, though, because it's quite an empowering set. Like, people are really nice on set, you know, normally. Yeah. Normally. It's tights. I could not stand tights. I once did it. Actually, did about 80 tights. Maybe more, on and off. You try pulling tights on and off. 80 times.
I've never done that. Oh, I have actually. What was that?
In heels. Yes.
Polly, yeah. You used to film
And
it in
heels, like, honestly, like 6-inch heels. Everyone. I swear to God, like, people don't realise, actually, and they say this about modelling, it's a very physical job. I genuinely don't know how I'm a curve model, to be fair. I should be like this thin, and I'm saying like finger thin because of the amount of work you're doing every day, because in and out, it is a very physical job. Yeah. And my poor feet after that job, it wasn't, and also I think it was just because it was me and a photographer who at the time didn't really know how to communicate very well, and it was just a really awkward. It wasn't a bad job though, you know. I've been on set with people. Actually, one happened recently. We were speaking about this the other day, where I got told, "Oh, well, you put a bit of weight on." You know, things like comments like that. Like, I'm too old for this now. I'm not going to deal with that. I said, that's a bit rude. You know, you can't be saying that to people. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. You know, and they was deeply apologetic. They thought that was a compliment. That's cool, but like, to me, it's not. Like, how do
I
you
think
know?
modelling or not, let's just refrain from commenting on people's bodies. I am so conscious that when I was in a slimmer body, if someone said to me, "You've lost weight," that fueled me. That made me eat even less for the next 3 days. It made me run even more on the treadmill. It just absorbed my mind. They think I've lost weight, I'm going to lose more. So I think it's so important that we just stop commenting. Give them a compliment that's got nothing to do with the way they look. There's way more interesting and important things than whether you've lost or gained 3 pounds since I last saw you. I actually don't care. Are you well? Are you okay? Are you happy?
Yeah, exactly. And I get it, right? Our job has been is what we look. You know, we look at ourselves like that because we're booked on that.
Of course.
We're models.
We have to do our measurements. We have to be in line with our
That is
measurements.
it. And if you haven't got a thick skin, don't model. Don't model.
Big time.
Like, you can't. We've grown with that over the years. Because you don't just get self-confidence, you don't get self-love. You have to grow with it, and it's an ongoing daily thing. But you need thick skin to start with.
I say this all the time as well, because so much of our job is rejection. 90% of our job is rejection. 90% of our job is you're on pencil for this $4,000 job next week, and it's going to be so glamorous and amazing. It's this huge brand, and it's going to add to your portfolio and add to your exposure. It's going to be amazing. And in your head, you've booked it, and then you just get a little email saying you've been released. And it's absolutely gutting every time. And you have to be able to just go, okay, on to the next one. And it's not for everyone.
And before, I'd say when we were beginning our modelling career, I was always questioning, like, what did I do wrong? Was it me? And you go into this all the time. We have that enough in our private lives. You don't need that in your career all the time. No. And because it is rejection quite a lot, you really do have to get used to actually sitting down and going, this isn't a personal thing.
Not at all.
And actually changing your mindset on it's work, it's business.
Yeah.
Like, I could be like number one week and then nothing for months. And that's fine, because it's how it goes. It's how the modelling industry goes. It's how the fashion industry goes, because that's what we work for.
It's interesting as well, because we have a lot of the same clients.
We do.
And there could be this element of like competition. Why are you with this client this week and I'm not? They've not seen me for 3 weeks. But I think because we're both doing so well and we've both been doing it for so long, and we understand that it swings and roundabouts and it comes round. And there's no point comparing yourself, because for as long as I'm comparing myself to you and you've put more work than me that week, other people are comparing themselves to me and saying, you look like you've been so busy. And social media is a bugger for that with modelling.
Exactly. Again, if you are starting modelling, the comparison is, you just need to put that to the side. Like, you have to stop the comparisons, because you are you, and that's the reason you're getting booked.
And you never actually find out why you've not got it. I had one recently where I was on pencil for a job, and then they came back and said, we've gone for someone in a bigger body. And I really appreciated the feedback, because it stopped me thinking, is it this, is it this, is it this? No, they just went for a size 18.
They just went for something different. That's cool, that's fine.
Let me throw a curveball.
Go.
If you had a daughter, would you want her to model? Big question.
So, I actually have tried to get some of my friends' kids into modelling.
Okay.
And the reason being, children,
proper modelling.
Children, the reason being, it's not about the looks, it's about the confidence around other people. And I think it's about building a little character and work ethic, actually, because we have got fantastic work ethic, because we have really had to be
Well, I was on the train to London on my own at 15.
Yeah, you was really young, weren't you? See, I was a bit older, but like, my work ethic is beyond a lot of other people's, because you're self-employed. You need to learn to be around people, different people all the time. And I think you tested a lot with that, and you put out your comfort zone. And I think to do that as a child, but not about the looks now, because they don't do it on that. You know, they're doing it on how energetic a child is. You know, it's on their character, not on the looks, which is great. And I think it would be, I don't think there's any harm in doing that if you're around the right people.
I don't know that I would, just because it fueled my eating disorder for such a long time, and I just would want to protect my daughter.
Do you think that's also you didn't have the education or the people around you to help you, you know, with that eating disorder?
Big time, but I also think there's still such an undercurrent of it in the modelling industry, and it's just putting your child or your teenager into an environment where they're going to be exposed to that. So I think it will depend on, if I have a daughter, and what her temperament, resilience, strength is like, as to whether I think she could withstand the modelling industry. Because looking back, I don't know if I should have potentially gone on a different path. And obviously I wouldn't change it, but it really didn't help.
Yeah,
it really didn't help being around those people. It did. It took me a long time to then rebuild. And the curve modelling industry has been amazing for me in that sense. So I became a liver donor, and I put on I went from a size 6 to a size 16 in 18 months.
Wow.
And I wasn't doing anything differently. Like, I still go to the gym 3 times a week. I still eat really clean.
Really?
And your liver's responsible for your metabolism and breaking down your fatty acids. And I was told before surgery, you will put on somewhere between 10 and 15 kilos, which is a lot of weight. But when you're trying to save a child's life, you're not really worrying about that. But then it happened, and I was like, oh my God, because no matter how little I ate or how much I tried to continue with my disordered eating, it wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So,
oh, wow.
But it became an incredible shift, and I stopped modelling whilst I kind of figured out this new body, and also because I was just jumping sizes. I didn't really fit in anywhere. Finally, my body sort of levelled out at a size 16, and I had these boobs that I'd never had. I don't know where these come from. And I got re-scouted, and then I got booked for a massive lingerie campaign. I was in Sydney at the time, and it was like window campaign everywhere. It was like the equivalent of Ann Summers bras and things in Sydney, which was a gorgeous brand, and they were amazing. And they were so pivotal in helping me rebuild my confidence.
Love that.
Because they loved this new body that I was in, that I was still coming to terms with. And it was just incredible. So curve modelling has been really positive in that sense. I'm always surrounded by people. Yes, there's the comments about your weight occasionally, but generally I would say people are a lot more conscious of not commenting negatively because we are curve models.
Yeah.
I think there's more of like I won't say anything. You get the odd dickhead. I've had one in the last couple of weeks, a client who's really pissed me off. They've not paid my invoice, so I'm not going to tell that story yet, but I will tell it.
Pay the invoice.
Get that invoice
right
in,
now.
and I'll share the story.
We'll name and shame you.
What
Jokes.
What's been?
No, I agree on that. I like that though. It's true actually. On set now, I've found people, and again, I think because when you are a curve model or plus size model, you're not necessarily being judged on the rest of your weight. People seem to be more laid back on sets with that, I think.
Big time.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of the time...
I'm not saying, by the way, everyone put weight on and become a curve model at all.
Well, I think just being the body that's healthy.
Exactly. It's just about literally loving the body and what you're supposed to be at. I think that's it. Whatever your natural weight is, it's just owning that.
Allowing your body
being healthy with
to
that.
balance, being healthy. We both go to the gym and work out a lot.
Yeah.
We both eat pretty clean. We both have treats. We both have a lot of balance.
Yeah, balance,
and this is the size that our bodies want to be. And I think I look at you and think you look very healthy. You can tell when someone looks healthy in the face.
Yeah.
If I was at a size 6, I look back at the pictures of myself, I look like an alien, Kayleigh. I showed you a picture the other day, didn't I?
Showed me a picture.
And I'm just...
No, you're still beautiful, but it's just not
My
you.
head is huge.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you lose loads of weight and you've got a bigger head than your body. Like a little bobblehead. Joke, she was beautiful, but... No, but that's it. It's about actually owning your natural shape and size. And I think that's one of the top things I'd say to anybody who wants to start modelling or is modelling now and doesn't feel confident in who they are or where they fit. It's about fitting where you are naturally, and it comes.
I don't know about you, but I find introducing myself as a curve model really awkward. What I mean by that is when people say, what do you do for work?
Yeah.
I never wanted to, actually you really helped me with this, but I never wanted to introduce myself as a model because I always felt like people would look at me and be like, you're not a model. You're in your 30s. You're not a size 6. You're not, I'm tall to be fair, but I'm not a size 6 beanpole who's 21 and like a high fashion model.
Yeah.
But I make way more money now doing what I do and have a way more successful career than I ever did when I looked like a model.
Yeah.
But introducing yourself as a curve model when you're in a bigger body, I always found really difficult because I felt like there was going to be judgment.
And I do feel that is... Well,
and I think there is judgment.
There is judgment, there is judgment. And I've really worked on this, but I still, like, when I meet new groups of people or, like, friends of friends, and like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm an accountant by trade. Why the fuck am I not saying, like, I'm a model? Or if I do say it, because I've learned more, I have to now, especially when it comes to dating, can I just add? It's really hard. I hide that I'm a model. I do, because I'm like...
Oh, big time.
Yeah, I always hide that I'm a model at Spurs because, like, people... like perceive you very differently.
Absolutely.
Very different. I'm nothing like the model that you see like on
social media.
A social media or on screen. Yeah, like there's just very different to that. So I do, and I say, oh, I'm a model, curve model, and I do this, curve model. Like, what? No, like, come on, just a model, I'm a model.
And models look all different shapes and sizes.
Exactly, and I think the fact that we're doing this now, we're gonna have to stand by this. I'm a model. Yeah, and what?
And I feel like when
And
you say that, sometimes people do take the piss out of you.
Yeah, they do.
You're right with dating, though. I remember when I was dating, because I work on social media as well, and I've got an all right following on social media.
Yeah.
And I remember being on dating apps and people would be like, what do you do? And I'd be like, I cannot share my social media and the fact that I'm a model. But then you don't want to lie off the bat. But I feel like people have a different impression of you, or they might think that's, I don't know, exciting, and then they're more into you just because you've told them you're a model and they want to say, oh, I'm dating a model.
Yeah.
There's just so many layers to it.
People perceive you as this like sexy lingerie model. I'm an absolute geek.
You are a geek.
I am a proper geek. I'm a bit of a lad. Like, you know, I'm just not that person. And I think to say, yeah, I just find it quite, not embarrassing, because I'm really proud of the work they've done. But sometimes it can be a bit like cringy. And why do you feel like that?
That's one of the biggest reasons I've been so excited to do the pod, because I feel like as much as I try and get across my authentic self on social media, people still have an impression of me. Whereas when you watch this, it is going to be undeniable that I am just a massive dweeb. Like,
yeah, like we're just normal people.
just-
Just normal people. Modelling is not like, when you think of models as well, let's be honest, we think of supermodels, we think of Kendall Jenner.
What's your
you
experience
know.
of working with other models, though? Because I always love people on set.
I love people on set. I'd say the only people that I've ever had an issue, not an issue with, because that sounds
They've not been your type of
crazy, not
people.
my type of people, are girls that have just kind of come into the industry.
Yeah.
That have been booked on amazing jobs straight away, and they have
Not the
not the experience, but also the attitude stinks. And I'll say this, number one piece of advice to any aspiring models, be nice. Have a good attitude, because I wouldn't have had as many jobs, and I know it's based on your looks, but it's not also, it's based on your productivity and everything like that on set.
I wish someone had told me early on that rebookings in the modelling industry will be your absolute bread and butter. It is not about the job that you book once and never see the client again because you were an arsehole and they didn't like you. It is about showing up, mucking in, helping people move lights, making a brew, just being a decent person, not being a diva.
You are not above anybody.
Booked. If we both looked at our books for this year and what we've earned, so 80% of it is rebookings and clients that love us and continue to book us. And like you say, it's not just because of how we look, it's because we're a delight to have on set.
It's so true, though. It is. And unfortunately, as well, like with social media and things like that, like influencers come into it thinking that it's an influencing kind of job. It's not. Modeling's a lot harder. And you've got to be nice to people around you. Just don't be a dickhead. Don't be a dickhead.
And life advice.
It is. Don't be a dickhead. Like, genuinely.
Don't be a dickhead.
Someone's going to steal that now. I'm going to... No,
Do
copyright.
you know that when I
Copyright
got back to the UK, so I lived in Sydney for the best part of a decade, and when I got back and I was signing with agencies here and figuring out what I was going to do, I got asked multiple times by multiple different agencies. I was in a size 14, 16 body, very similar to how I am now, and I got asked if I would go up to a size 18 because they would be able to book me more work. And it's kind of like we were saying before, this is how my body wants to be when I work out 3 to 4 times a week and I eat clean and I've got good balance and I have pizza on Saturday night with the girls. This is my healthy body. And to ask me to go up to a size 18, how would I do that? Eat an extra 700 calories a day?
A few McDonald's
And
a day,
and be unhealthy. But that was what the industry wanted, because then they could tick that box and I would be in a bigger body.
This is it again, isn't it? Like ticking the boxes. And I get it. We have to do it for gender equality and diversity. Yeah, absolutely. Completely get that. But again, with shoots, and you'll see it now all the time on adverts and things like that, it's literally you ticking a box.
However, curveball, because I get asked this question a lot, and I have to give props to clients who tick the box. Because I understand...
You do need to.
You can't win. So you either don't have a curve model and then you get told that you're not inclusive in your campaign, or you have a curve model, you have a mixed race model, and you have a white girl with ginger hair who's a size 6, and you've ticked every box.
You ticked every box,
But then you get slammed for ticking every box.
Yeah.
So they can't really win.
You can't really... No, I agree, you can't really win. I think it's more for us as models. We don't really seem to work with each other that much unless you're on brands that are, you know, for the plus size girls.
How to approach agencies.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
let's
completely
give
different.
advice.
I think the number one thing is actually, do you know what? People used to send photos in, right? Go to the agency, rock up, go and see if you like them. Because, and this is one thing as well I've learned is, no offence to the agencies, but like, they work for you in the end. I was so terrified to approach agencies. You know, our agent, I'm going to say it now, Boss Models, love you all very much. I've been with you 10 years. Good God, that's a long time. But I went to see them 3 times before they took me on.
Didn't want
They
you.
didn't want
I
me.
wonder if because you came from pageant
Potentially.
Wonder if that hindered
It
you,
could have,
because that was always a big thing back then.
Well, it was the fact I was sending photos in, they just were like rejecting them. So I rocked up. On the third time I rocked up and they saw me in person.
I love that.
And you know, it's so funny. It was like being on the X Factor. There was like 4 of them that all came in and out, like round and did and had like little interviews. I was terrified.
Wow.
I think I was 22 at the time. I was absolutely terrified, and they all come and sat with me. And they was like, no, perfect. Yeah, I'll take you on. I was like, yes. But it took that third time. So if first you don't succeed, try again. Very true. Because you might not fall into a certain category at that time when you're applying.
Also might just not be what they're looking for at that time.
That's what I mean,
And I
yeah.
think we have this conversation, we spoke a little bit before about rejection, and it's the same when you are applying for agencies, because there's plenty of agencies that I've applied for over the years around the world who've said you're not the right fit at this time.
Exactly, yeah.
Fine, I'll find one that is the right fit.
Absolutely.
And ultimately you want to sign to an agency that loves you, is excited to sign, you can't wait to get you on the books,
Yeah.
and like you say, is working for you. Because at the end of the day, they don't make money unless you work.
Exactly.
They don't have an agency unless you work.
So I think the advice would be to any aspiring models, or even models that aren't really getting much work, is you need a relationship with your agency. So you need to find the right fit for you. So don't take any rejection as
It's redirection.
It's redirection. Yeah, it is.
I think as well, treat your business like a business. So modelling, you are going to be self-employed. You have got to take this seriously. Kayleigh's doing a test shoot on Monday, which is basically just adding new, fresh, beautiful pictures to her book and updating it.
Well, actually, I've got 3 castings and a test.
But you're a full-time working model who makes a really good income, and still you prioritise testing and you prioritise treating your business like a business, being professional, making sure that everything is up to date. The agency aren't chasing you and saying, oh, I think you need to test.
Yeah.
You're just taking control of your career.
Yeah, that's it. You know, that's the thing as well. And I am an annoying model. I didn't start getting work from Boss, actually, until I was
Say this, you're not going to get any work anymore.
Well, no, because they're going to get it again. Right? I used to ring them twice a week. You did, right at the end of the day. Oh, actually, at one point, I was ringing them every day. Because they told me to do this, though. They said, like, because there's so many people on the books, right? In all agencies, you've got to be relevant.
Yeah.
So, like, this annoying model keeps ringing. Who's the annoying model? Kayleigh keeps ringing.
Someone get her a job.
Get her a job. She needs to stop ringing us. Swear to God, it worked. And people are embarrassed by that. But no, I'm not embarrassed when I start getting paid. Just don't want to annoy people. Just ring agencies. Hiya, I'm here. You okay?
Yeah.
And it worked like a treat. I started working.
You were hungry, you
full-time.
were persistent.
So, yeah, I think one of the other pieces of advice would be, like, it comes in waves at the job. So don't take it personal. You know, just keep going and just do what you need to do to keep working on you, to be a better version of you, to get more jobs. That's it.
Persevere and just make sure that it makes you happy.
Perseverance is key.
It massively, but also it's okay to have a change of heart. If you are doing something that no longer brings you joy and you're constantly plugging into it and it's just not right for you.
Absolutely. If you're doing this just purely because you've been put in that position to do it and you're not happy, don't do it. Yeah, so, I mean, going on from that, I absolutely adore my job as well. Like, I wouldn't be doing it now if I didn't do it. And leading on from that, actually, I want to know, because we have got so many stories between us, we're going to be getting loads of guests in the future as well to chat these stories because they're insane. But I want to know, like, one of your model stories.
So my first ever modelling job, right? I got the train down to London. I was 15.
Yeah.
And it was a bridal lookbook. Who on earth books a model who is 15 for a bridal lookbook?
Back then, though, you know, you had to, like, you were small, weren't you? Sizing.
Crazy. So I was 15. I did look a lot older. Bridal lookbook, and there was 70 wedding dresses to do in one day. And
On your own?
Normally,
Yeah.
com day is about 40, 50, but wedding dresses as well take so much longer. They were all a sample size 10 and I was barely a size 6, so I had to be, like, pinned into every single one. Anyway, where it gets crazy is, drum roll please, they were racking up cocaine on the coffee table
Never.
at lunch. And I was a child and I didn't know the industry. I had never seen drugs in my life.
That was your first job?
My first ever job, and I just thought that's what it was going to be. But probably the worst thing about that is I didn't tell anyone because I knew it was wrong.
Was you on your own then as well? Was you?
No.
Never. So normally, let's say this, normally you are with a parent if you're under 16,
You'd have a chaperone, yeah.
You'd have a
I didn't.
chaperone, yeah.
No. Racking up cocaine on the table.
Never?
Yeah, that was my first ever job.
What, everyone would just...
Not everyone, but a few of them. It was so normal.
Like photographer?
Yeah. Because this was before stories on Instagram.
Yeah.
It was just a different world. It was in London and it was just very, very normal.
And I mean, wow, that's pretty insane. The funniest thing is, like, you hear all these stories about, like, the 90s, you know, the 90s.
I mean, I'm not that old, wasn't I?
70s, 80s, 90s in fashion. It was about drug, sex, rock and roll in the fashion industry.
Please tell your story.
Oh, wow.
Tell me. Go on.
My first ever job was, I was 19.
Yeah.
So I was a bit older.
Was this your first job?
Yeah, it was like a proper modelling job with an agency, and I got sent to London.
In the water?
Yeah,
Go
they put
on.
me like in a pool. Can I just say though, this place was fucking phenomenal. It was a mansion. It had an aquarium.
The Playboy mansion.
It was basically like the Playboy mansion. Yeah, it was insane. There was me and a couple of other models. It was for a sex magazine.
Oh, it was for a sex magazine.
Yeah, it was for a sex magazine.
Sorry, tell the story.
But it was for a sex magazine. Well, it was a sex. Okay, yeah, it was a sex lingerie magazine, sexy lingerie, and it was a massive German company. Anyway, so I get put in this pool, not a clue even how to model really in like lingerie because I'd been doing pageants before, not a clue. I'm there. Next minute, they're like, "Here you go, here's a prop, fucking big dildo, like
Say
in a
that
pool." A big dildo.
It was a giant dildo.
Giant dildo was given to me while I'm stood in a pool.
How do you model a giant dildo out of...
Well, I think
interest?
what I had to do is this.
Like how you model skincare, like...
This is the dildo.
Oh, the dildo.
And to make it, do you know
like,
what?
"Hiya."
And actually to make it even like, it was like, honestly, it was huge. It was huge and it was crinkly one and it was a bit like...
Crinkly?
Crinkly one, like a real life one. It was weird. I'd never even had a dildo at this point of myself. So I was like, oh my God. And they was like, can you just change can you change the things on it, the settings? And it's like, oh, so each one I had to change the settings and pose in a pool with this dildo.
Do you have pictures of that?
I have pictures of the pool, but not of the dildo, luckily. Because I was like, it actually got put in a magazine as well. It was physical magazine. My grandma got given this magazine. I swear to God, my grandma keeps all my magazines, God bless her. And luckily, my mum had seen it before and took that page out.
Just you with a giant dildo. Grandma's got it framed on the wall.
Honestly, like, you can't even... Because bless her, she wouldn't have known what it were, would she?
My granny does that, like she frames all my things.
Oh,
and
I love that.
Last year, I think you've done it as well, you know, the sewing magazines.
Yes, love a sewing magazine.
Same, I was the sewing magazine cover girl.
Yeah.
And my gran has literally got them all and like got all these sewing magazine pictures on the wall. It's
That is
so
sweet.
cute. Luckily, I did not have a giant dildo in the sewing magazine.
Yeah, that is a bit of a... Yeah, that was the first one. That was a bit crazy. Yeah, I've had a few crazy jobs, like... But we'll speak more about that in the future anyway, because we've got so many.
Welcome inside the modelling world. We hope
Yeah.
you've enjoyed that episode.
Welcome to modelling life, guys.
I feel that's been an absolute whirlwind once again. Is there... Let me ask you this as a closing. Let's end on this. Would you pick modelling again if you could pick a new career?
Absolutely. What a laugh.
Every day of the week. Every day of the week. It's been an absolute blast. Between us, we've done like 35 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just so much joy. There's a lot of bullshit that comes with it. But as careers go, and just the fact that we get to do something different every day, the creativity.
And meet the amazing people, and we're going to get a lot of these amazing people on the show
we
as well.
are very, very blessed. Thanks for listening to Curveball, the podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and watch us. Do all the things. We love you. We appreciate you.
We love your feedback, guys. Feel free to throw us a curveball of your own, and we'll see you next time.